Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, we're going to talk about light guns. On the channel, we've covered the Sinden, we've covered the AimTrak, we've covered the gun for IR, and the PDP Mars. I thought this one was going to be really interesting because it came out around 2018, I think, 2018, 2019. It was at E3. I went to the booth. Everyone was super hyped about it because it was the idea of bringing light gun or modern light gun technology to newer consoles, new gen consoles. And I thought, man, this is gonna be so cool because we're gonna share these games, these styles of on-rail shooters that we loved in arcades with modern gamers, and everything's gonna be awesome. Well, unfortunately, this thing failed. But why? Okay, we might as well dive right into it. The first reason might be because the way this gun works is it actually has a laser. It shoots a laser at the LCD. Now, unlike the Sinden, which draws that white box around the image and there's a camera inside the gun to track the white box, they've done it a bit differently. There's a camera you get that you hook up to your console, and then you have to position the camera, which is super annoying. So you have to have a place to put this, right? So for me, I have this ottoman right here and I put it on there. So every time you play, you have to take this camera and put it out. And then you gotta keep moving it around so that it can actually track the TV. So it actually locks its position so it goes, okay, here is my play field, and then it tracks the laser coming out of the gun. So I just think with this not being really portable or anything, and it's a nuisance, you gotta have somewhere to put it, it's kind of annoying because people don't really want technologies. They have to leave things laying around. Everyone's gonna put this away. People are gonna trip over cords. So I just think even though the technology works okay, and I'll show you that in a second, this just isn't gonna fly with most people.
Okay, so once you get the dang thing calibrated, and believe me, it's kind of a pain in the butt, it actually is pretty fun. The gun is accurate. It emits a laser that the external camera picks up, so it knows exactly where you're aiming on the screen. This is different than how Sinden does it, as there's no laser at all in the Sinden, but an internal camera inside the gun figuring out the playfield by the white border around the screen, and the camera's at 60 frames per second, so it does that fairly quickly. The game I'm playing right now is Voyage of the Dead. It's one of only 3 games that actually worked with the gun. And the gun itself supported both the Xbox and the PS4. This game is reminiscent of House of the Dead, with better graphics, better voice acting, but not much better, and a modern and less interesting story in my opinion. The other 2 games were Cubit's Quest and Big Buck Hunter Arcade.
What's the pendejo?
As far as the gun goes, it's decent. It feels good in your hand. It's got a slider to reload, so no off-screen reloading. The weight makes it feel not like a toy. However, those looking for some kind of forced feedback, you're not going to find that here. This leads us to the games, with only 3 games available for it: Voyage of the Dead, Big Buck Hunter Arcade, and Cubit's Quest. It seems the interest from developers was low. Or maybe PDP just didn't put the marketing dollars behind it to attract the attention of third-party developers. An accessory with only 3 games? That's not exactly a winning formula. So why was I so excited about the idea of the PDP Mars? Because I thought maybe we might see companies like Sega port their old light gun games. You know, maybe we'd get House of the Dead 1, 2, and 3 and be able to play it on a modern console like a PS4, PS5, or an Xbox One, Series X, whatever. But obviously we know the project's no longer, around, so obviously we don't have that option. But then I was thinking, is there anybody else that's trying to do a plug-and-play, simple and easy, other than DIY, obviously? You can build your own kits, but is there anybody trying to do this and make it easy for people? And you know what? There's one left that's trying to do this. And they actually have all the retro games at your disposal, and it's the Polymega. Yeah, so the Polymega has a gun called the GC01, and it's a controller that is designed by Sinden. So it's got Sinden technology, and because the Polymega supports the Sega Saturn, the PS1, the Super Nintendo, Mega Drive, NES, you can play lots of different games. Now, for instance, the Sega Saturn's got Virtua Cop 1 and 2, Area 51, Maximum Force, The House of the Dead, and on the NES side, you got Duck Hunt, Hogan's Alley, or even Wild Gunman.
You mean you have to use your hands? That's like a baby's toy.
Okay, so why did the PDP Mars fail? I think there's a couple of variables here. One is that camera was kind of hokey, how you have to calibrate the camera to the screen and everything. Then there's also the games, but I also wonder if the audience they were targeting, like, do actual kids in their 20s or teens and 20s, they care about these kinds of games. Maybe they don't. Maybe they needed to market it to us. Like, what if they had created games that were, they reached out to Sega, got House of the Dead 1, 2, and 3 ported to Xbox and PS4, whatever. If they got these older games, Time Crisis, that we really loved, then maybe we would have rallied around the product and made it successful. So I'm not saying that maybe who they targeted was wrong, but it seems like that could be a variable in the equation. Because the games they came out with were pretty cool, but I bet a lot of you, this is the first time you're even hearing about the PDP Mars. So clearly I don't think they did a lot to drive awareness and get developers on board and all that. Now that option I showed you with the Polymega, don't get super excited about that just yet, because the Polymega just started shipping, and that gun I showed you, that actually hasn't even been put in the hands of anyone yet. That's just in the pre-order stage still. So what are your options outside of this potential with the Polymega and the Sinden? Well, you could go buy a Sinden light gun on its own and do a DIY. You could buy the gun for IR on its own. You could buy the AimTrak, but all of those require you to have some knowledge of emulators. You got to configure it all yourself. It's not a plug and play option. And that's why I thought the PDP Mars was going to be so cool, because we would have had a modern plug and play option. But unfortunately, that didn't work out, and so here we are, back to the drawing board. But I hope someone does this. I hope someone does this, because I know I need light gun games in my life, and I know you need light gun games in your life. And we don't have all the space to buy or resources to buy all these arcade cabinets, the original ones, although we'd love to. And the only other way you could really do it is if you have all the old legacy retro consoles. You can enjoy those on a CRT, and those light guns will work on those systems. But a lot of people don't have, the means to either buy, obviously retro gaming has gone crazy in price over the last like 10 years or so. So anyways, that's it. That's all I had. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel. Put your comments below. I think this is a really interesting topic. And that's it for now. We will see you on